Hi everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to Karen's Sizzle and Spice. Today I'm making a kind of a fancy meal. It's so simple though, you won't even believe it, and it's so delicious. I'm making Parmesan. Well, what are you doing?
Hi, honey.
I didn't know if you were ready to start filming.
We will, but you know what? Christmas is 2 months away and it's too far. You need this right away.
Oh, how fun.
I've
how
heard
fun.
you talking, and you've been talking about these for weeks.
Let's see. What a surprise. That's so nice of you.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, is it what I think it is? Oh my gosh, it's my new Rachel Ray knives. Oh my God, look how gorgeous. I love these. They've got this size. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to have to wait for Christmas for these. Look at this beautiful knife. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Eddie. Thank you. And this paring knife. Oh my gosh. I just love them, honey. Thank you so much.
I knew you'd like them.
Thank you. Well, let's get this recipe going, huh?
Yeah. All right.
You really made my day, Eddie. That was so sweet of you. I thought I would have to wait for Christmas for those knives. I'm so excited to have them. But wouldn't you know, I don't think I need a knife today at all. This meal is so simple that I'm going to make. I'm making Parmesan crusted pork chops with smashed potatoes. And I have to tell you, pork chops for me are as good as a deluxe steak. I love pork chops, and the whole key to pork chops is they're the fabulous if, and that's a huge if you cook them properly. Because a pork chop can go from juicy and fantastic to dried out in a flash. So you gotta be really careful how you cook these. That's what I'm gonna show you today. And if you've never had smashed potatoes, you won't believe how good they are and how easy they are. So let's get going. So to get this meal going, let me show you what we're gonna need. First of all, we're gonna need our pork chops. I'm using boneless pork chops, which I prefer. And you will cook these time-wise depending on how thick they are. These are only like an inch, inch and a half thick. This is why this is gonna be a really quick, fabulous meal. These won't take long to cook at all. So I have 3 pork chops here. I'm gonna use some mayonnaise. I'll be using a little bit of olive oil. I'll be using salt and pepper, of course. I'll be using some Parmesan cheese, some fresh Parmesan. I'll need a little butter. Of course, I'll need my potatoes. I'm gonna use a little bit of garlic salt, and I love using Montreal steak seasoning on just about every meat that I make. Love the flavor of this. So let me show you how I cook the potatoes. You can use any size potatoes you like for this dish. You can also use any kind of potatoes. I'm using red potatoes, those are my favorite. I just wrapped them in aluminum foil, gave them a couple of good pokes with a knife, and I put them in a 350-degree oven right on the rack for about an hour and 15 minutes until they got nice and soft. And you know your potatoes are ready when you take a toothpick and the potato falls right off. Perfectly done. Now that I showed you how to cook the potatoes, these are nice and soft. I'm unwrapping them from the foil. These potatoes are just so simple. I think I've made these for you before, Ed. They're so delicious. When it comes to potatoes, I don't know about you guys, but I'm all about the crunch. So I'm taking the foil off. I'm gonna put just a little bit of ham spray on my cookie sheet here. I'm placing my potatoes here. And if you want to come closer, Ed, I'm going to smash them just like they say. So I'm using my potato masher. You could use a fork. But this works pretty lovely. The more smashed, the better. And those potatoes, you can see they have to be nice and soft in order to do this. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Now, you want to keep it all together. If any of it comes apart, just keep it all together. And again, you can use any size potatoes you want for this, and they're going to be fantastic. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna put a little bit of butter on them, because you know everything's better with butter. I'm just gonna put a couple of pats around the potato. Oh, I can't wait to eat. I don't know about you, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
Yum, yum. So a little bit of butter. And then I'm gonna put on just a little bit of olive oil, because you wanna make these potatoes as crisp as we can. Using my olive oil container from Rachel Ray, which I adore. I'm gonna use some coarse salt. Sprinkle these potatoes. You know potatoes crave salt. And I'm gonna use a little pepper. You can put on any seasoning you like on these. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna put these in the oven until they're nice and crispy and brown. And you leave them in as long as you like, as long as it takes for them to get as crunchy as you like. So I'll get these in the oven. Hey, before we go any further, you guys, are you subscribed to my channel yet? If you're not, I don't know why not. All you have to do is click on the red button below my videos. Once it turns gray, you know you're subscribed. And if you clicked on the little bell that's underneath the video as well, you'll get a notification every time I put a new video on. And I do that every Thursday morning. There's a new video recipe. You also want to make sure that you click on the description of this video, and my Facebook page link is there. You want to make sure you click on like on my Facebook and check it out. I give away kitchen gadgets all the time, so you don't want to miss that. Thanks. All right, those potatoes are going to cook, like I said, for at least half an hour in the oven. I want to make sure they're really crispy. My oven is set at 375. In the meantime, I will just get my pork chops ready to go into my frying pan. They're going to start out on the stovetop, and then I'll move them into the oven. And I told you I'm going to use Montreal steak seasoning on my pork chops. I put a good amount on here. Now let me tell you, for a meat like pork chop, it is imperative that you have a really good meat thermometer, because I tell you, if you go over 5 degrees, your pork chop will not taste as good as it can. The internal temperature of the pork chop when it's complete should be 145. So I watch it like a hawk once I put it in the oven, and I check it frequently to make sure I don't go over. You'll be so glad you did, because these pork chops are going to be fantastic. Now this thermometer is terrific. I've had it for a while, really reliable. I will put the link for this in the description of my video in case you need one. This one is great. So I'm going to prepare that Parmesan crust now for the pork chops. It's so simple and so delicious. I have 3 pork chops, so I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of mayo, putting it in this bowl. That's going to be plenty. And then I'm going to put in as much Parmesan cheese as I like, and I'm using the fresh Parmesan. This is going to melt beautifully, and it's going to turn nice and brown. I'm using my microplane. I love this tool, and I'm going to just do it right over the mayo here. So it turns out that this mixture is probably half Parmesan, half mayo. Ooh, I love when it's raining cheese. How about you, Ed?
Oh, yeah.
It already smells good in here, doesn't it?
Yes.
And once I get the Parmesan grated in there, I'm just gonna mix this up. Make sure your consistency is nice and spreadable. I think I might add just a little bit more parm. So when you're deciding which pan to use, these pork chops are not very big. I want a pan that they just fit into. Do I want to use this pan? No, it's too big. We're going to use this pan. This one is that emerald pan of mine. It's one of my emerald pans that's kind of heavy. It's almost cast iron, but not quite. I've had this one, I'm not kidding, for at least 25 years. It's still in perfect shape. I love it for when I make a steak stovetop or when I make pork chops. You want the pork chops to fill the pan. It kind of makes the heat more even. It makes your meats cook better than if you have it in a gigantic pan. Now my potatoes are almost ready in the oven, so I'm gonna get my pork chops going. And honestly, with as thin as these are, these will take 15 minutes max, stovetop and inside the stove. I've got my pan nice and hot. I'm gonna put a couple of drops of water in there. You can see how hot that is. That's what I want. I'm gonna put a little butter in the pan. Love that sizzle. And then I'm going to get my pork chops into the pan. I'm gonna put them seasoned side down. Love the sizzle. And I'm gonna give these pork chops about 3 or 4 minutes on the stove top. Turn these pork chops over and put on that Parmesan crust. I'm gonna take my potatoes out of the oven. They are sizzling, oops, and crunchy and delicious looking. Look at how good those look, Eddie. All right, these pork chops are ready to turn over. See, they've got a nice brown crust on them. Look how beautiful that is. The next thing we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn the burners off, and I'm gonna divide this mayo and Parmesan mixture into 3 here, and I'm just gonna lay it right on top of the pork chop. It's as simple as that, you guys. You'd think you had died and gone to some fancy restaurant with the way this is gonna come out. It's just fantastic. Your family and friends will be so impressed. Just gonna spread it out beautifully onto each pork chop. Look at how gorgeous that is. Don't want to miss a drop of that. And I'm actually going to turn my oven now to broil. And let me tell you, one of the best tips I can give you is once you put food in the oven on broil, don't leave the oven side. Because I have burnt many things in my time. You don't want to burn anything. You want to keep a very close watch on it. So let's see, I turn this off and then put it on broil and start. And these pork chops are going to go right into the oven here. Hey friends, I've got to show you how these look as they're cooking. Look at the sizzle going on there. Oh my, they're almost ready. Okay, these pork chops have been in there on broil for 5 minutes now. We're going to take them out. Come here and look at this. Look at how gorgeous those are. Look at that. Gonna put it on the stove top. And what I have learned to do after burning myself a couple times is immediately when this comes out of the oven, I put on my pan guard here so I don't burn myself. So I remember that thing is hot, hot, hot. So the inside of these pork chops are gonna be 145 when they're perfectly done. Let me check the temperature. Look at that, it's at 139, 140. You know what, I'm gonna leave this sit for a couple more minutes in the pan. It's gonna be perfectly done. Next is tasting. Can't wait, how about you, Eddie?
Can't wait.
Here we go. Oh my gosh, Eddie.
Yeah.
Does this look fantastic or what?
It does.
You guys, look at how gorgeous this plate is. You know, you eat with your eyes first. You may as well make it beautiful. Now I'm gonna put a little bit more butter on my potato.
Well, go ahead, I'm ready with mine.
Go ahead, dig in, honey. Dig in. I'm gonna put a little bit of green onion, a little bit of chives from my garden. I think I might even dip in a little sour cream. Oh yeah. So have you tasted it? What did you taste first?
The pork chop, I couldn't wait.
And?
Delicious.
Is it done okay?
It's perfect.
Yeah, pork chops do not take long to cook. Sometimes people cook them way too long and they're dried out. They taste like shoe leather.
Before I met Karen, that's the only way I used to have pork chops. And I really didn't like pork chops anymore. So I came here, met her. They're done perfect and they're so juicy.
The flavor is fantastic. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can absolutely put this Parmesan topping on top of chicken breast as well. If you don't like pork, you prefer chicken, put it on there. Cook your chicken accordingly. Make sure you have a meat thermometer. And that's really the key to perfectly tasting meats, is to make sure you're doing them the right way, at the right temperature. We're gonna eat here. This is fantastic lunch for us. Thanks so much for visiting my page today. Make sure you come back often and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.